So, lads, this is one of the worst trades in NBA history. Obviously, at the time, bringing in Dame Lillard was big. It was big. I'm not going to say, like, it's one of those trades that made no sense, but we have the benefit of hindsight a year on. This is the worst trade. This might be the worst trade in the history of, actually, sorry, I don't know why I'm saying this is the worst trade in the history of the NBA. This reminds me of like when Phoenix traded for Shaq, where it's like, you go all in, but you go all in by closing your own window. And that's what they did. They literally, this is a team that's been all in for a few years. They're going all in around Giannis. But they closed their own window by this trade. And what do I mean by that? So, when they made this trade, they were the first seed in 2023 and lost first round in the playoffs. They lost first round in the playoffs. And after losing first round in the playoffs, they thought they needed to change something. And it not the fact that, like, they lost first round in the playoffs because Giannis was carrying an injury. That's why they lost to the Heat. And I know he was injured in the last playoffs too. But they were still the best team in the Eastern Conference in the year 2023. They did not need Damian Lillard. They did not need more offense. They were fine. And they were also possibly the best defensive team in the NBA. With Giannis, Brook Lopez, and Drew Holiday. And Middleton's no slouch. Their bench guys could play defense. They were that good a team. But they went all in for Dame. And what did they do by going all in for Dame? They got barely better on offense. They became all of a sudden bad defensive team. They then went and had gave up Drew, and they gave the Celtics Drew. So by making the Celtics basically unbeatable, they closed their own window. They improved the Celtics enough that there was no debate. And the Celtics lost Marcus Smart in the Porzingis trade. Like, they needed a replacement for Marcus Smart. And they just got it for nothing. They got it for nothing. They got a much better Marcus Smart for nothing. So, the Celtics, the one type of player they were missing was Drew Holiday. And they got him for nothing. For very low, for like Brogdon and a pick or something. Because you offloaded Drew Holiday because you had to get in Dame Lillard. Turns out Drew Holiday's a better player than Dame Lillard. We saw it in the Olympics. Drew Holiday started. Drew Holiday is one of, like, Drew Holiday, like, this is the best way I'll describe it, where it's like, Drew Holiday can be the fourth option. He might be the best fourth option in the history of basketball. That's like the type of player Drew Holiday is. But Dame Lillard is a 1. He is a 1A option who doesn't play defense, and when he's not giving you 30 is a net negative. Whereas Drew Holiday does all the little things. But we're seeing it now. Milwaukee are 2-8, and Giannis is having one of the best starts of a season in his career. Giannis Antetokounmpo is averaging 30 and 13. They can't win a game. Why can't they win a game? One, Milton's injured. Even Milton's playing, they wouldn't be winning games. And I get it. Andre Jackson Jr. is playing. But still, they've got bodies. Dame Lillard is not, even though offensively, statistically, you could argue he's holding up his end of the bargain, it's not enough. It's not enough. The team is no longer enough. They're no longer good enough defensively to compete. They're not good enough defensively to do anything. And as well as that, even if the Milwaukee Bucks did improve, they literally just turned the Celtics unbeatable. They turned the Celtics into an unbeatable force with this trade. So, you've got, like, again, a Celtics in your conference who are an unbeatable force that you're never going to beat. You're never going to beat them while making your team worse. And also, because the standards were set so high with Dame, you went and brought in or fired Adrian Griffin, who shouldn't have been fired. Because to be fair, the team didn't like him. But you also should have never fired Coach Budenholzer. You blamed Mike Budenholzer for losing to the Heat without Giannis, really. It was not his fault. And that Heat team went and got to the finals. So it's not like it's the end of the world. Like, they were the 1 seed the year before. They just had a bit of a slump because they were injured in the regular season. They were the 1 seed the year before for a reason. Like, that Heat team was incredibly good. And, like, you fired your coach won you a championship because of that. You bring in Adrian Griffin, and then you bring in Doc Rivers. All of that is like a spiral. All that's a spiral. And then you're so bad on like defense with Adrian Griffin that you bring in Doc Rivers, who's supposedly a defensive coach, and the team just forgets how to play. Dame Lillard has not been bad for Milwaukee, by the way. He's actually not been terrible. So this isn't like Damian Lillard he's struggling, or Damian Lillard's been terrible. But it's not even that he's not holding up his end of the bargain. It's that they did not need Dame Lillard. They needed Drew Holiday. This team more than anything needs a Drew Holiday. And this team less than anything needs a Dame Lillard. And they thought the grass was greener. Like, this is your modern day equivalent of the Phoenix Suns thinking they needed Shaquille O'Neal, when realistically what they needed to continually compete was Sean Marion, and they gave up Sean Marion in that trade. It is I'm trying to think of other teams that like literally closed their own championship window. It is your Los Angeles Lakers thinking you needed a third superstar, when the reality is you needed to run it back and have a guy like a KCP. Maybe trade Kuzma for a role player. You could have went straight up and traded Kyle Kuzma for Buddy Hield. I would say they probably would have accepted that. You probably could have traded Kyle Kuzma, and I think they maybe gave a pick in that. If you went Kyle Kuzma and a pick for Buddy Hield, they would have made that trade. And you go out there with LeBron, because Austin Reeves came that year as well. But so if you go out there with Reeves there in the squad, you find a point guard in free agency that can run the show in any way. And you got Buddy Hield off the bench, KCP at the 2, LeBron, AD, and someone else there at the 5. And then you still consider him if you're able to make those trades, bring in a Rui Hachimura or something, that's a team that's a shot of winning the 2022 championship. But you decide to bring in Russell Westbrook instead. This is teams that are, it's like the Russell Westbrook move. This is one of those trades where it's this team closed their own window. But this is the first time in all of this that the team closed their own window by making their rivals unbeatable. Which is why, it would be if, I don't know, let's just say there was the Suns and Lakers, and somehow Marion gets rerouted and somehow goes to the Lakers, and the Lakers are just unstoppable. Imagine if you added Sean Marion to those Lakers teams with Kobe and Pau. They would have been unstoppable. It would be imagine if somehow Marion got rerouted to LA. It would be, that's how bad. And that's the only way you can make a comparable disaster trade to this. Because not only did you take somebody, did you get rid of a player that you needed for a player that you wanted that made your team worse, you also, that player that you needed, who is a perfect fit for everyone in the team, got rerouted to your rivals to make them unbeatable. It's hilarious how bad this trade aged.